Daywalker Cards here, guys. Today we are trying to figure out what is the Marvel Snap meta. So we are going to take a look at two different websites and check out their meta tier list and check how they have them ranked through either meta share or seen, however they want to describe it on their website. We want to know, what is everybody playing? So what can you expect to see? Full disclosure, we did not use Untappd.gg because their website wanted premium to see from 80 to 100, and I'm not paying for that. Like, honestly, there's no reason to. So we used two other websites. We used Snap.fan and, of course, MarvelSnap.zone or MarvelSnapZone.com. All right, so those are the two websites we are looking at and their rankings. The criteria was collection level 3,000 plus and above. Between 80 and 100 on the ranked ladder, and of course we filtered it by the last 7 days. So what is the current meta? Keeping in mind though, before jumping into this, the last 7 days includes a weekend of challenges that basically said play Surfer. So with that in mind, is it going to be the top most seen deck? Or is it the most seen deck because people believe in it? Who knows? So first, we are going to look at Snap.fan. So Snap.fan's number one most seen deck is saying it has a 10% share of the ranked ladder is Sarah Surfer. So it's the Sarah Surfer, and if you look at the build they show, it is the Hazmat Toxic Sarah Surfer, whatever you want to call it, with Hazmat, Iron Man, Mystique, Brood, Magic, Surfer, Luke Cage, Sebastian Shaw, Wong, Absorbing Man, Sarah, and Odin. So they have classified it as just one deck, the Toxic Surfer, Sarah Surfer, and it is the most seen deck at 10%, 10.1% to be precise. And then the number two most seen deck is Generic Discard, and that is at 6.9%. Both of these decks are sitting around a similar win ratio of 52-51%, but their average cubes is only 0.2. So it makes you wonder, why are people playing it if it's not averaging that many cubes? I don't know, but for the Generic Discard deck, it looks like a Blink discard build with Sandman. Some people are throwing in Miss Marvel, apparently. And I don't know. That's just according to this website. And now the third deck is the one that I do believe this one is up there because I am playing this deck. It is Kazu with Gilgamesh. The deck is quite strong. And honestly, it's a ton of fun to play. So there's different builds of this, but this is the build that they have listed as their example deck. This one has an average cube of 0.4, and it is seen 6.1% of the time, meaning it is in third place on its meta share or seen percentage, but it has a higher win rate of 55% and averaging 0.4 cubes. So it's doing better than the top two decks. And then the fourth place deck is an old fan favorite, I suppose, which is Loki, averaging 0.3 cubes with a win rate of 55.1%. The deck seen percentage is 4.6%, so that's 4.6% of the share of total seen decks at the top of the ladder in the 80s through 100s. And this is a newer build, I suppose, since it does include Thana in it, which is just recently released with this Eternal season. So it's interesting to me to see these four decks. The bottom two actually have a higher win rate than the top two, which makes me believe that it is skewed slightly because of the weekend missions that just occurred, wanting you to play those 3 cost cards. All right, and let's see, how does that differ though? What's different between Snap.fan's list and SnapZone's list? So SnapZone at their meta share gives them a much higher percentage. The number one deck is still Sarah Surfer. All right, so we are still looking at the same 3,500 plus collection level, last 7 days, 80 to 100. And with that, they have seen a 18.79 and almost 19% share of the market for Sarah Surfer. And this build is different. It is not the Toxic build. It is straight up Sarah Surfer with Red Guardian and Juggernaut and, you know, the basic threes. And then we have Absorbing Man, etc. Number one most played deck with 19%. It says they saw it in 1.9 thousand matches, and its average win rate was about 53.6%. Sorry, its win rate is 53.6%, averaging 0.274 cubes. So a little less than 3 cubes per game. So not too bad. So both of them have Surfer at the top, which makes me think because of the recent weekend missions, that is why it is at the top. All right, and next up, we have to take a look at number 2. So number 2 is a deck that, honestly, you should expect if you've played this game ever. And it is definitely different from Snap.Fan's list. It is not generic discard. Instead, it is Null Death. So that is the Deadpool, Null, Venom, Carnage, etc. deck, right? So that is number 2 with a win rate of 53.07%, averaging 2.283 cubes, so less than 3 cubes, with a meta share of 17.09% of the meta. That's 1.7k matches. So that's quite a bit of matches that this deck has been seen, and I totally believe it. I run into Destroy all the time. And again, this is where the list is going to differ. There's no Kazoo on their list. So according to Marvel Snap Zone's meta share, ranking, etc., the third place deck is Mil Zemo. So that is with Yondu, Cable, Maximus, Gladiator, etc., the Dr. Octopus. You've all played against this deck. Some of you are out there using it, so you know what I'm talking about. This one has a 51.83% win rate, averaging 0.146 cubes, so less than, 0.2, so it's not averaging very great, and a meta share of 16.04%. It popped up in 1.6 thousand matches. And then our next one and our last deck in their top 4 is Toxic Surfer, so that is the Hazmat deck. However, if you look at the Marvel Snap Zone meta website where it says Toxic Surfer, the deck they show you, this deck on the screen now, isn't Toxic Surfer. There's no Hazmat, there's no Luke Cage, it's not Toxic Surfer. However, if you click it and go into it, you can find one of the most played Toxic Surfer decks, and I'll pop that on the screen right there for you to see. However, I find it interesting that they have Toxic Surfer in the rank, but they don't actually have the proper deck list. So they split Surfer into 2 and didn't even put the correct list on there. So ultimately what this video is about and what we're trying to achieve here is we've looked at what these 2 different websites are saying are in the top most seen decks, so decks you're likely to run into because a lot of people are playing them, and they're very different. So where are they getting their data from? I assume Untapped is getting their data from literally their tracker that tracks people's matches, but how are they tracking their matches? I don't know. I'm not going to act like I know. I did not look into it. Maybe they've written explaining where this data comes from, and if you know that, please comment it down below. However, they're vastly different. The only thing that is the same is Surfer, which, again, that makes sense because Surfer was on the weekend missions, essentially. It was technically not, but it was like use Nakia and use, the new 3-cost cards. It was essentially saying play Surfer, get these missions done, right? So it's interesting to me to see that through these different websites that are supposedly tracking what people are using, what decks are the most played, The one that I believe the most is honestly Marvel Snap Zones, but at the same time, there's no Kazu on there. And I would say from my personal experience, the decks I've ran into the most have been Destroy, Toxic Surfer, and Kazu in the recent past couple of days. So, you know, it just goes to show you take with a grain of salt what you're seeing on these websites. I don't mean to badmouth any of them. Shout out to their creators, putting a lot of work. But how accurate are they considering they're vastly different with about the exact same criteria? To be fair, I will add that Marvel Snap.fan, only allows for collection level 3,000 and up, whereas Snap Zone is 3,500 and up. But I don't know if that 500 would honestly be that big of an outlier in this and change the results. So thanks for watching, guys. Remember to like, follow, subscribe, comment down below. Let me know, what do you think of this? Which site should you be going to and looking for this data? I don't know, but thanks for watching, guys. See you next time. Daywalker out.